Does anyone really know what hormones do? There is so much talk about women's hormonal health, but most women are left even more confused about what it means for them and what to do about it. The confusion ends now.
An award-winning German nutrition scientist created a powerful herbal formula called Hormone Harmony, which contains 12 powerful adaptogens into one single capsule. Each of these ingredients is carefully selected based on scientific evidence and has been proven effective in clinical studies for women of various ages and hormonal profiles.
Happy Mammoth, the company that produces Hormone Harmony, is famous for its zero compromise policy. No GMOs, artificial fillers or flavors, or any other junk. Only science-backed ingredients in amounts that are clinically proven.
What makes this formula unlike anything else on the market is that it tackles multiple hormone imbalances at the same time, creating a cascade of benefits all throughout the body and mind.
Hormone Harmony has over 50,000 raving reviews from women all over the world, with 98% of them saying they'd gladly recommend it to their friends and family.
For a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use the code BLAME at checkout.
You can try Hormone Harmony risk-free and get 15% off your first order with code BLAME at checkout.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
Hello.
Hi. Is there a shiver in your timber?
What is a timber? Oh, your vocals. Whoa. That. Melissa, sometimes you teach me things that I don't even know I'm in class. I don't even know class is in session in the moment. I don't even have my glasses on. I'm not being studious, and you just teach me something brand new. Wow. And you lead me. You can't force the horse to drink the water, but you lead me straight to the pool, to the pond. There. Right there.
Straight there.
I am a horsey nay. Here I am amongst the water that I'm lapping it right up. I'm drinking. Wow. That was so interesting. I never knew that. Anyways. Welcome, everybody. Now, I will give another disclaimer. If anybody did not catch our, if you're like I'm a long episode listener, I skip out on the see you next Tuesdays and Fisting Fridays, which I don't know why you're doing that. You're depriving yourself. You might have missed that I am a level of unmedicated that is going to be fun. It's going to be goofy. And just as your fair warning.
Megan, you have ADHD.
I know.
ADHD does not have you.
Well, right now it has me in a fucking chokehold. It's got me up against the wall. And I'm like, yeah, for sure, whatever you say. But also, Matsu is working from home today, except turns out, Melissa, he's not working today. He has the day off. So he told me he was planning on moving the furniture around, and I said,
why would he do that?
No, and he said, well, I'll do it very quietly. And I said, no. So I told him the second if I hear anything moving around, I'm going to have to shut that down. But of right now, I haven't heard it.
He can't wait 2 hours?
Of course not. Well, he wants to get this arbitrary to-do list that he's created in his head done so then he can not feel guilty about going to go either A, hit balls, or B, go see that zombie movie by himself.
What zombie movie?
75 hours later, 72 days later, 28 days later. 28.
I'm about to drink out of a comically large container.
Okay, a vessel? Show me the vessel.
Mm-hmm.
Show us the vessel. The way that I was not fucking prepared for you to be drinking out of an Easter basket. Melissa.
It is an agua fresca container.
No lid, no straw.
Well,
that's a pail. You're drinking out of a pail.
Is that it does have a lid, which is right here.
Yeah. She just is against lid.
But
yeah.
The straw is too short. So it just falls right through. So there's no point in having the lid on when I can just drink straight from the container.
I'm not unfamiliar with an agua fresca. I knew the lid that was missing. I knew the straw that was missing. And that's why it's a double hand chug from a pail.
Yeah.
Wow.
72 ounces.
Delish, though.
Right.
Absolutely delish.
A little berry situation.
Ooh. Yum. Yum, yum, yum. Well, anyways, everybody. Besides telling you to drink out of a little pail and to refill your medication, we are here to give you other alternative, life-changing, wonderful, amazing advice. And this is a show where we do exactly that. So if you want to call in for an upcoming episode, write in, fill out a form. We have all these different options. If you want to call in,
310-694-0976.
Yep. And you can tell I'm medicated. It's the area code that's tripping me up. I had a dream about area codes last night.
Did you have hoes in different area codes?
I think that might have been my dream. There was a guy I used to date that was in my dream. And so like maybe he was my hoe in another area code.
Yeah.
Up in that 415. Anyways, yeah, we also have a forum that you can fill out. That's listed in the show notes.
Oh, what?
A form.
You said forum.
Anyways, let's not get nitpicky. We have a form that you can fill out in our show notes. It's also listed in the socials on our bios and stuff. And you can also email us at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. So for the audio version, keep it under 3 minutes, requirement. For the written version, under 300 words. For both of them, you have to be 18 or over. You have to tell us how old you are. You have to detail your problem that you would like advice on. And remember that we are, for the most part, unless you're a part of our Patreon and like you don't use a voice changer and we like really know it's you, we are not privy to the situation. So like you gotta start from
or if you've called
one.
in multiple times.
Yes. Don't do that.
You know who that was for.
I do. So yeah, make sure that you give us all of the relevant information and details because we want to give you the best advice possible. We don't want to give you bad advice or advice you're not going to take. Sometimes we give you advice you're not going to take, and then we want to give you like an alternate advice you will take. So yeah, make sure you tell us how old you are, how long you've been in the relationship, and that can be a friendship. It can be a sibling, but like let me know how old your sibling is. Let me know how long you've been in that sibling, not like an incest sibling relationship. We really hate those calls.
A moment of silence for those people.
Yeah. Anyways, that's all I have for our intro, right?
Yeah. I will say if you're listening to this before 12 p.m. Pacific time, then you still have time to get in your thoughts on Sinners. They did just say that it is releasing on HBO Max. You don't have time to listen to it anymore unless it's early in the morning. But if you don't want to purchase it, you can stream it.
Sick.
All right. You ready to get into the first one?
I am.
Hi, Eminem. I, she, her, 31, moved in with my boyfriend, he, him, 31, 2 months ago. We've been together 2 years. Before we moved in, I listened to advice from old episodes on moving in with a partner and found it super helpful, especially all the things to talk about before you physically move in together. Lots of people have told me that moving in with a partner is an adjustment, but my question is the adjustment that you bicker a lot? When we fought before we lived together, it was always about stupid things like disagreeing on a restaurant for dinner or who is going to cook lunch. We never argued about big life decisions like when we want to get married, how many kids we want, etc. It feels like we bicker almost every day, and I'm not sure this is normal as we get used to living together. Most of our fights now also seem minor, like I forgot to do a chore and do it later than I promised, or he is cooking dinner and the food isn't ready when he promised. We do apologize after these fights and still deeply love each other, but the constant bickering and making up feels exhausting. It feels like we're struggling to have patience with each other. So I would appreciate any advice on how to be more patient and bicker less. For context, before living together, my boyfriend lived alone for several years, and I lived in an apartment for 5 years with my best friend. Prior to that, we had both lived with our parents. P.S. for listeners, I'm the exception, not the rule. Don't live with your friends.
I don't know if I'm reading the situation wrong, but even when you said before we lived together, we were fighting about stupid things like disagreeing on a restaurant for dinner or like who's going to cook lunch. To me, that sounds like bickering.
And you're also still disagreeing on the same things of cooking later and doing a chore. Like that's still in the same realm of the same stuff. So I don't think anything has changed.
Yeah, I was exactly going to say the same thing.
It's
where I'm like,
you're seeing him more.
It sounds like you have had a relationship that like has had like what you probably prior to this would consider like a healthy amount of bickering. I will be totally honest. This to me is more bickering than I could personally handle in a relationship, living together or not. But like, this was what you did before you lived together. This was like how you communicated. This was like we fight, we make up, we do that kind of stuff, which is totally fine. But like Melissa said, like, I don't think it doesn't, as of right now, it doesn't sound like you've necessarily changed. It sounds like you don't have like the space to walk away from that or to like vent to your friend to be annoyed. It sounds like, and maybe it has ramped up and it just like this wasn't descriptive of how much it's ramped up, but it sounds like the same, like thematically quite similar. And it does sound like maybe you had both gotten like, there was a normalized sense of bickering that you thought maybe this would happen less when you moved together. But like, does he have an issue with how much bickering that you are doing? Because some couples like to bicker.
Yeah, some people do like to bicker. They like to, it gives them excitement and ramps up the day and is foreplay in some ways. But to you, sounds like an annoyance and you want it to stop.
Yes. And like, I also wish you had done some more examples because like forgetting to do a chore and then doing it later than you promised, to me, that's like, okay, what chore? Like, because if it's like, oh, I said I was going to clean the inside of the oven, but it's like totally usable, and then you do it later, if he's getting annoyed with you, I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, that is like so not a big deal. But if it's like, we can't move forward with like our other plans for the day until this thing is done.
Yeah. Like, you forgot to take the trash out and it was trash day, but you did it later, but you missed the pickup.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like, because I'm also wondering, like, are both of you or either of you justifying what you've done or like getting defensive? Because like, I find that exhausting because like to me, that's bickering versus like communication of being like, hey, you forgot to take the trash out and it's trash day. Like, let's like, is there a system that we can do to like, we don't do that? Or like just heads up, can we problem solve how we're going to get rid of all the fucking trash we have? And if someone's like, well, I was doing this, whatever. And it's like, okay, well now we're arguing about the thing that you know that you did wrong, that like, this isn't necessarily helpful or like propelling us forward. Because if you're also arguing with the same things all the time, to me, that's like less bickering and more like butting heads a lot. And like, if it's like, how's the communication aspect of this? Like, we apologize after these fights, but like, are we having the same fights over and over and over again? But like, how to be more patient and to bicker less is honestly the solution is communicate better.
Right. And the things that you named didn't seem like that big a deal to me. Just, Is it him? Is it being in the same space together? Did you move into a space that you both that one of you occupied before? Mm-hmm. Or is this a new space and that's an adjustment too?
Good point.
So these are questions to ask yourself, but the things you sent seem very minute.
And especially the whole thing of like, you forgetting to do a chore, doing it later than you promised, or he's cooking dinner and the food isn't ready when he promised. Oh. Okay. Like
sometimes food takes longer to cook. Sometimes you have to chop up more than you expected, or it took longer. Did he like start 2 hours later? And he said it was going to be ready at 6 and it wasn't ready till 9.
And then he wants you to do it because he doesn't have the energy. Like, so like, I think the same way that like for you, we can all come up with like a reason why you didn't get that chore done as quickly as you had initially planned or whatever. The same thing I think can be said like back and forth. And like, do you hold him to the same expectations and standards that you hold yourself? And does he hold you to that? So like, is he allowed to have an excuse for why he didn't do something? But like there is no excuses allowed. Because I think like, I agree with you. Like, this sounds like you're getting just really irritated with him. And like, I will say moving in together, there is sometimes like you start to notice things about the other person. But the difference in that is what Melissa pointed out. It sounds like these are the same fights. Mm-hmm. So like, I think that there's a level of being like, oh, I don't, when you're not acting like you're a guest in a house and like how you live here when you are just being like totally relaxed, like that is like unlearning it. Like that's an adjustment period. But I think like sounding that most of these sound quite similar to the other arguments you had before, it might be that like, you've gotten used to the standard of like bickering in a relationship, and that might not be your sweet spot. You might not be someone who enjoys bickering, but like you didn't have to face that or deal with that until you actually live together and you realize like, oh, this isn't like maybe he's staying mad. Like maybe this isn't like I'm trying to communicate and this turns into an argument. But like, I didn't realize that these were arguments until now I'm stuck in a room with you. And I'm realizing that like, this is souring more than just like the 30 seconds of expressing how I'm feeling about this or whatever.
Right.
But in general, I mean, like we've always said, like, I think if you're having the same arguments over and over and over again, that's either therapy or breakup, because like if you can't problem solve that yourself, that there's a reason why the profession of therapy exists. But I'd be really curious about what he thinks about these things. Like, are you trying to have more patience with him? And what's his patience like with you? Like, what are you also being allotted?
And then also, like, did you think moving in was going to fix these arguments?
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Things to consider.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to be flexible, because like he might have been a person that just like eats when he's hungry, and as opposed to like we have a set time to eat. So like I think these are still more conversations that you need to talk out and figure out. But I just feel like that y'all are setting each other up for failure. Totally.
And I think you really have to ask each other, like, how do you feel about the bickering? Like, if it does not bother him, and like more so than that, if he, there's a lot of men who kind of like it when the woman they're with is a little irritated at them. Like, a lot of guys find that hot. And I'm like, I don't like being irritated. I would like actually prefer, like, I can pretend to be irritated at you, but like, I don't actually want to be irritated with you. So like, I think that you can also have said that like, oh, I thought I enjoyed bickering with you, but like, I actually didn't realize that I don't. And I want to shift how we communicate with each other for this, because to me, this is like the textbook definition of bickering. And some people are very cool with that and other people are not. I'm not one of those people. Like, if you get annoyed with me, now I'm more annoyed with you.
For me, depends on the guy.
And that's how I had to learn, because I was like, if I'm flirting with you, fine. If I'm like coexisting with you, now I'm annoyed. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, don't piss me off now. So, yeah, more communication is the answer.
All right, we're going to take a break. Is the state of the U.S. making you want to escape?
Yes. And you can take the first step and learn the language before you go. Who makes it easy, Melissa?
Babbel makes it easy.
We are so happy that we have a new sponsor. It is Babbel, and not to fangirl too hard. We begged Babbel. We said, Babbel, Babbel, we need you.
Our audience wants you and needs you and asked us, hey, who do you guys recommend for languages?
And we're happy to say, it's Babbel.
Not only do sometimes I want to escape, but I also want to stay here and talk to the people here on the ground, especially in our state of California. So I want to brush up and make my Spanish stronger. I took Spanish throughout school. I took Spanish and French, but I really, really need to strengthen my Spanish. What about you?
Spanish is the language that I grew up in California. So like that is like you said, like from the time that I could talk, like the names of different streets. It was so like ingrained, handcrafted by over 200 language experts. Yeah, they are voiced by real native speakers.
Real people.
Oh, and they're built with science-backed cognitive tools like spaced repetition and interactive features to fit any learning style. I'm a big fan of Babbel games. This girl loves a game.
We both love games.
And like the sentence building stuff. So having it be in like a game format makes me feel, it doesn't make me feel like I'm learning. It doesn't make me feel like I'm being scolded in school. I'm just like learning something new, but I'm mostly playing a game.
We want you to learn another language, so we're teaming up with Babbel to give you 55% off subscriptions, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/don'tblameme.
Get up to 55% off at babbel.com/don'tblameme, spelled BABBEL.com/don'tblameme.
Babbel.com/don'tblameme.
Rules and restrictions may apply.
HelloFresh is going to help me enjoy my summer more because I will spend less time looking for groceries, trying to figure out like what I'm going to eat. It's just delivered straight to me, and it makes things so much easier so I can be outside basking in the sun.
Spending less time in the kitchen, more time eating delicious things, and having a great time, which is all what summer's about. This summer, HelloFresh has made it even easier to enjoy delicious, healthy, and homemade quality meals with their new ready-made meals. These heat-and-go HelloFresh meals are chef-crafted, flavorful dishes, ready in, guess how many minutes? Oh, it's just 3. So you can dig in and go do summer right.
My mouth is already watering looking at the Southwest-inspired chicken bowl and the stir-fried udon with pulled pork and veggies. There's also a creamy Alfredo truffle pasta and an Indian-inspired chicken paired with turmeric rice. Drool. These are all ready to eat after a quick spin in the microwave.
We love HelloFresh. We have sung their praises for so long. I have to give a shout out though. The Mushu pork lettuce wraps changed my life. Absolutely so good. I think it has to be one of my favorites I've ever had. Make your summer enjoyable and delicious by signing up for HelloFresh at hellofresh.com/blameme10fm and get 10 free meals with a free item for life.
That's hellofresh.com/blameme10fm for 10 free meals and a free item in every box.
HelloFresh.com/blameme10fm. 1 per box with an active subscription. Free meals are applied as a discount on the first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies just to see if you could save some cash? Well, Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states.
We are back, and it is time for the next. This is from someone 27, she, they. I'm in a friend group of roughly 8 people. We all met working at the same fast food job, which has very flexible hours. 2 friends no longer work there, but only one of them, Rebecca, works a 9 to 5. We rarely are all able to have hangs with all 8 of us, but if there's more than 2 people doing anything and then she hears about it, Rebecca, she makes side comments like, thanks for the invite, or you couldn't have picked a day that I'm off, or what happened to doing stuff on the weekends, even to things that we absolutely know that she wouldn't enjoy doing. When pointing that out, she doubles down. She expresses feeling left out of big hangs, and I try to explain that I'm unaware of any big hangs happening without her, and it's not enough. There are weekly dinners that happen that I don't attend because of work, and when I counter that she attends those, she says they don't count, and it just feels like there is no winning. She has very bad FOMO and is insecure about being left out, but these kinds of comments just isolate herself more. She basically punishes us for ever having a life away from her, but then doesn't take any initiative to make plans with us. And it's not like we're going to invite her to stuff that we know she can't attend. Let me be clear. No one is purposely leaving her out. We either just have different days off or aren't trying to do the big things with everyone. Addressing in the moment hasn't worked, and we anticipate a friend intervention overwhelming her. We don't want to be all against one, but don't know how to play it out. Any and all advice is appreciated. Thank you. How about inviting her to things that she cannot go to?
Right. Is there not a group chat with everybody? Just invite her. Just invite everybody. Yeah. And then if people can come, they can come. That seems like the most simple solution to me.
Yes. Yes. And I think if she just is like, well, like, can we reschedule this day? You just say like, oh, I can't, like, we can't do this.
I work that day or somebody else works that day.
And like the same way that when you do that on like a big group chat, without a doubt, similar like you said in this, right, like you're right in, there will be other people who can't attend the same thing that she can't attend. They can have an own separate chat of planning their own separate thing another day that other people can't attend. But I think when you do not include her in the conversation, some people want to be invited even though they know, like it's just feeling like it's being included, and it's instead of you not including her, it will be her work schedule getting in the way. And I know it's the same thing, and that's why you're not inviting her. But then you, in her mind, you are not responsible for that then.
Right. So
I don't know. I always do this though. Like I'm a big believer in like, also because I like this in friendships where it's like, if you know I'm not going to want to go to something or I'm not going to go to something, like unless you know I have other plans, like if you were doing something and you knew that like, oh, I have, I don't know, a Shabbat at my nephew's school, like something that I've told you that I'm doing, and then you go and you have some plan or whatever, that I would never feel any type of way about. But in general, even if like someone has a trip or they're doing something and they're like, oh, I don't think you would want to go, still invite me.
Still invite, because like it seems the way that you're going about it now, it seems like that you're planning things when you know she has to work,
and that's
as opposed to including her in plans.
Yeah. And because I think like when she's not being privy or included in the plans, sometimes it is just as easy as switching to one day where everybody is off. But if she's not included in those conversations, you're never going to know that it can just be
because she could
pivot.
be like, actually, I really wanted to do that. I'll take the day off.
Yes. Or like, oh, that sounds so fun. I'm not going to be able to make it this time. Can we put it on the head of the schedule like next month to do something around this time so I can request that day off? Like there's just a way to do it where without a doubt, she probably feels like you are planning it intentionally that way. And also when you've all kind of like gotten your friendship fill of like hanging out or like doing whatever, or like these bigger plans and that kind of stuff, people aren't making the secondary plans because you've already kind of done this. And I think like, I'm sure there might be another person in the group who might feel somewhat similarly, but like they've seen how the reaction to her feeling this way has come across, that like there could be people making secondary medium-sized plans to do that kind of stuff. So I think in general, it never hurts to include somebody. And then if she has a bad attitude about being included to things that like she's not always going to be able to attend, or if you have like zero flexibility of shifting things, if you have like flexibility shifting for other people's like when they're free, but like not for her, then it might just be like you don't really want to be friends with her anymore. And like that's also okay. But I think you have to take some culpability for recognizing that instead of just like, you know, intentionally / unintentionally not including her in things that eventually will lead you to like stop being friends, because like her reaction is not fun. But I also think like put yourself in her shoes a little bit, that like sometimes we think that like everybody hates us and they don't want to invite us on purpose, and that's not what's happening. But like recognize that like we all have those irrational thoughts, and there are things as friends that we can do to make it so our friends don't feel like that.
This friend intervention sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
No, ever. Don't.
All right. We're going to take another break. When we get back, we'll get into the next one.
It can be overwhelming to manage a business, especially when you're first starting out. Your to-do list just keeps growing every day with new tasks, and that list can easily begin to overrun your life. Finding the right tool not only helps you out, but can simplify problems you haven't even encountered yet. And for millions of businesses, that tool is Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world, and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started. With hundreds of ready-to-use templates, Shopify can help you easily build a beautiful online store to match your brand style. And best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/realm. Go to shopify.com/realm. Shopify.com/realm.
How does weather work? What's the secret to having a great conversation? How do most wealthy people get that way? These are just a few of the topics we've recently covered on my podcast, Something You Should Know. Each episode covers multiple topics that are likely relevant to you. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and listen, we've got over 1,000 episodes, over 4,000 mostly 5-star reviews. I invite you to check out Something You Should Know, wherever you listen.
My name is Troy LaValle, and I'm the host of the Glass Cannon Podcast. This is a podcast where my friends and I sit around and play role-playing games and record it. Through improvisation, using comedy and drama, we take the rules of whatever game we're playing and we turn it into appointment television. It truly is infectious fun. We travel the whole country playing rock clubs, turning games like this into a spectator sport. So please, check it out, the Glass Cannon Podcast. If you want some joy in your life, give it a listen.
All right, we're back, and we'll get into the next one, which is a voice memo.
I, 21, have been with my boyfriend, 23, for 3 years. We recently went through a rough patch and broke up because I felt like I was carrying all the mental burden and had to caretake. He has undiagnosed ADHD, depression, anxiety, and used it as an excuse for things not getting done, like cleaning his room when I stayed over, which I voiced was an issue, or finding a new job because his current one barely pays enough to afford rent and bills. Other excuses include things are hard, the job market is bad, or going through depressive episodes. I also struggle heavily with severe depression and anxiety and fully get that life sucks, but things still need to be done. He also has poor financial habits and doesn't show initiative to learn to budget. I've lent him money over the years, which I shouldn't have, because I didn't want to see him struggle, and he has yet to fully pay me back because of poor budgeting. Within the past few weeks, he responded poorly to me voicing my concerns, like what I already mentioned, to stop calling me bro and needing space to not text 24/7, acted entitled to my time, and belittled the work I put into school. I am lucky my parents can financially support me while he has to work full-time. We discussed this 2 weeks ago, and I felt like things weren't changing enough, so a week later we talked again and broke up. It seemed to be a wake-up call for him, and he finally understood. He started to show a desire to improve and has been taking steps to do so. He promised I wouldn't have to deal with these things anymore, but has made empty promises in the past. I believe he'll change, but it might not be enough. It shouldn't have taken us breaking up for him to recognize things were this bad, but he's also adamant to show he'll improve, like when I found out he cheated 2.5 years ago, and he showed me he'd changed and wouldn't do it again. However, he could make the effort for a while, then get comfortable and stop, or something else could happen to repeat this cycle. The way he responded previously was disrespectful and showed that he wasn't really willing to change until we broke up. He asked for one last chance to show he'll truly change, but knows it is my decision. Some friends are telling me to leave, while some think 3 years in we should be able to work through this. I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to give him another chance because it has been 3 years and he seems serious this time. He puts up with all my weird quirks and I thought we were endgame. Another part knows I should leave, but this is my only serious relationship. I'm scared about being alone or starting over and getting rejected, which has happened in the past when people get too close. I don't want to have to re-explain myself, my trauma, or past to other people. I wonder if there even is someone out there who could meet all these needs, or if my expectations are too high because all relationships take work. I also don't know how to navigate the guilt from seeing and knowing he is hurting, saying he understands if I want to leave, having to tell people in my life it didn't work out, and knowing he has to do the same. I know you'll say dump him, but how do I move on? I struggle so much with living day to day that I don't know if I have enough in me to start over and rebuild my life, and this will only make that worse. I also have a strained relationship with my parents and struggle making and keeping good close friends and not feeling isolated. I know I would benefit from therapy, but it's discouraging and hard to keep trying to find a therapist after going through more than 5 that didn't work out. I feel drained having to keep retelling my trauma. I'm also on antidepressants, which don't work that well. I am sensitive, so please be gentle.
You're 21.
You're 21. Step 1, you need a better antidepressant. Point blank. Like, I always say that, like, medication can get you to the, like, psychotherapy help. Like, there are certain things that you have to be able to do, like, put the mental work in. And right now you're like, I don't have the bandwidth to do that. We need to figure out how you can have the bandwidth to do that. First step to doing that is leaning on friends who are telling you to break up with him. You need to cut the friends who are telling you that, like, this is okay. To me, them, like, those are not your friends. That's like
that was my step 2 was like, get rid of those other friends, because just because you're with somebody for 3 years and they're making you miserable, that does not mean that you should stick with them because it's been 3 years. Time does not equate happiness.
No, to me,
or your future happiness.
Those are the kinds of friends who, like, fuck your boyfriend when you say that he's treating you poorly. Mm-hmm. That is, like, such a choice to make. That's not being like, there's a difference of being like, hey, I'm going to let you make whatever decision you make and I'm going to support you. But being like, no, I know that you are finally done with this relationship, but you should actually get back together with it. That's someone who is, like, preying on your downfall. But, like, I think that you need to, you know, lean on the friends who are like, no, dump him. This is not, you deserve better than this. Lean on those friends. Get on a better antidepressant, try a different, like, do anything like that where it's like you can then have the energy and the capacity and be in the space where you can work on like, you know, moving on and healing from this like long term. And, you know, some medications you literally do just to get yourself out of a pit that you're in. Some things can just be added to your current regimen. Some things can be changed from that. But like just finding that, because if he wanted to change, because to me, like you're saying, like he's got poor reaction, poor communication, all of that. And you're like, oh, he like, you know, we moved on and he did so much better after the cheating thing. I'm like, doesn't sound like it, because it doesn't, he has not grown as a person, and like not cheating on you after cheating on you is not growth. Because like the reason why he cheated is because of a him problem. Mm-hmm. And if that him problem will factor into every other aspect of your relationship, if he has not grown from that, healed from that, and he has become a better and different person, he's not, okay, I don't even mean like a different person, because it's like, oh, well, he doesn't cheat. But I'm like, yeah, but he still is disrespecting you in just different ways. And so the financial all of these things, you are so young. And I think 3 years feels like a lifetime at this age, but like you have so much more to your life. And you have so much more of those things. And like the feeling of like, I don't know how I'm going to retell all of this to somebody else, whatever. You don't have to right now. You don't have to date anybody. You don't have to share any of that. And like when it comes to like a therapist, I have friends who've literally made PowerPoint presentations, who've literally wrote everything down and been like, I don't want to go over this over and over and over again. Here is like the log line of like my stuff, and this is like, I want this jumping off place from this. But I think right now your
log line is a summary everything.
Yeah, just like a summary of like all of it, just to kind of get over the hump, so it doesn't feel like everything is like the first time and like everything is starting from square one. And I think like when you're saying that you've had a hard time not like keeping friends, but like maintaining like longer friends, all of this, I think you're really used to feeling like you have to start from square one, and that feels like really out of your control. And sometimes it is, but you never have to start from square one. People are not entitled to know everything about you. You don't have to share everything with everyone. But also, like, there are times where, like, you, without a doubt, will, like, right now, you don't have the capacity to be like, I don't know how to, like, share all of this with a new person that I'm dating and deal with that, because you're not ready to date.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But, like, there will be a point where, like, you're okay talking about it. You're okay sharing that with someone. But this is not like I don't think I could ever do that again. That doesn't mean that like this person is your person. It just means that like you are hurting from this right now, and it is not the time for you to be dating.
And you said like, I've only been in one serious relationship, because you're 21 and you've been with this guy since you were 18. Mm-hmm. Like that makes sense that you've only been in one serious relationship. That doesn't mean that he has to be your end game just because this is the only person that you've been with and you've only been in one serious relationship. You're going to date. You're probably going to get your heart broken 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 more times. Mm-hmm. But like you keep dating around. Like it doesn't have to be just like, I'm just going to settle for this guy. You're better than that. Like, also, how is somebody working a full-time job and they need to borrow money from a student?
Yeah,
where's his money going to? That's not somebody that you want to build a relationship. Somebody that doesn't manage their money well, that's not somebody you want to build a relationship with. And also, who actually was he borrowing money from? You or your parents? Like, I know that you said you don't have a good relationship with your parents, but do they know that you're giving money to him? A man that is an adult man that has a full-time job? What is he spending his money on? It's not your responsibility to take care of him, to babysit him, to babysit his emotions, to babysit his finances, to, just deal with everything that he's putting on you.
Yeah.
You do have to take responsibility for your own actions, though, in the situation.
But he's made you to feel like you are a burden, because he knows that he is ultimately a burden, and he has to make it feel like this is a shared weight carried. So therefore, you're never going to date someone who doesn't have all these issues, because he's making you feel like you have a ton of issues that he has to carry that weight of. And that's like, and so your insecurity about being like, well, how, he puts up with, and you even said he deals with my weird quirks. Oh my God. Have you seen Zooey Deschanel? Like, that's like wrong. Like, there are people who like have been through so much shit or whatever, but like the idea that you have to carry the weight of that tells me that he is making you deal with all of his baggage, all of his shit. He's not dealing with any of his own shit.
And he's trying to make you feel like he's the only one that's ever going to understand you. So like, I can change, I can be better. And I will be who you want me to be, when he's had 3 years to do that.
Well, and also like his whole thing of being like, no one else is like, I'm the only one dealing with your shit. You're not. I'm loaning you money. You're cheating on me. You're treating me horribly. Like he's not, like he's saying that he's the only one who's going to put up with this. He's not putting up with it. Not that there's anything to put up. Like this idea that he's painting this image of him that you are this difficult person. So therefore, of course he has to react this way. Of course he's going to be this way. And he's the best you're ever going to do. And it feels like that when you have friends in your life who are also shitty fucking friends, you start to accept poor behavior. You accept poor behavior from a lot of people. As soon as there's one person you're accepting very shitty behavior from, it makes it easier to accept bad behavior from everybody. And I'm obviously a big believer in cutting those people off, but like if you don't have the capacity to do that right now, you need to pour into and like heavily lean on and be like very honest with the friends who are not telling you that you should get back together with him. Like as just a friend, like I would want to hear that. I would want to hear that your other friends are saying this, and I would want to be like, you know, lean on me. We will get you through this. This is such a temporary feeling. And this feeling that you have with him, and like Melissa said, that like you're so young that yes, this is the worst heartbreak you've ever had because it's the only one you've ever had. And like ultimately you can decide that this is the only heartbreak you'll ever have, but this is the happiest you'll ever get to be. You'll never get to be happier than this. This is how sad and how miserable and happy you will be. And you're committing to this before you've lived so much life experience to know that there are ways that there are like experiences out there that make you exponentially happier. So like you could settle for this without a doubt, but you are settling and accepting his behavior, and it's not going to change, because this is another thing that like is a hard pill to swallow. I believe that anybody and everybody can change. They have to want to change. And a lot of the time that happens is once people do actually change, they have a hard time looking at the person that they fucked over so hard. They have a hard time being that changed person for that. For you. He
can go be the changed person for some other broad. And also, like, he should want to change for himself, not because you broke up with him.
Yeah.
And that is a big red flag, that he didn't want to even look at his issues until you were, like, done with him.
No, and they'll get comfortable again. He should feel embarrassed. Like,
yes. Yeah. He should go away and make himself better, and then come back and profusely apologize if that's what ends up happening. But like, I don't see that happening, because it never actually happens.
No,
he can go be good for somebody else, because he is used to a relationship where you are always constantly taking care of him. The relationship will never be the same.
No, and like if he wants to show that he's changed, he doesn't get you back on the promise that that's going to happen. And if he's so adamant on like, no, it has to be now, it's because he has no intention of changing. Right. He has no intention of growing. And if he really did care about this, he would. And also if he cared about you, he would not like how he has been treating you. He would not like his actions towards treating you. And he would want you to be with someone who treats you better. But like, he finds himself so deeply unlovable that he needs you to feel just as unlovable as he is. So you feel stuck with him, and you're so not stuck with him. And anyone who is telling you that this is something that you either deserve or you need to like put the work in and commit to are people who also really hate themselves. And like, that is something that like lots of people go through at different points in their lives. And like, you know, if you're dealing with anxiety and depression and all of that, like that is not an uncommon sort of feeling to have. But the people that you need in your life are the people who are not validating those like horrible, like self-hating thoughts. They are people who are like, this is temporary. We're going to get you out of this. We're going to get you working towards not feeling like this anymore. And again, that's like a mix of professional help and then friends. And like your friends can also be the ones to help you, like drive you to an appointment. Like they can do that. Like you just have to get rid of that voice in your head. That's his voice of telling you that like you're too much or you're difficult or whatever. And give these people who really do care about you the opportunity to like show up for you.
Yeah. Because he's emotionally manipulating you. And then you ask like how you move on. You move on by learning who you are as a person. You've got to take time. You don't know who you are as an adult outside of this relationship. You've got to take time to discover that. Be a college student. Go have if you like to party, go party. If you like to like hang out without him. Go do everything that you like to do. Figure out what it is you like to do, because there are a ton of things that you probably don't know. Like, I actually like this. Go join a bunch of clubs at school. Make new friends. Get rid of the ones that are giving you bad advice.
Yeah. And you said that you don't have a great relationship with your parents, and I could be wrong, but if I'm going to like put two and two together, the only reason you have a relationship with them right now is because they're paying for your college. If that is the case, do not date until they are not a part of your life financially, because if you feel like you are accepting shitty behavior from them for something else in return, that's always going to be like a huge factor in your life. And that's going to be something that like you can't really process and deal with that. If the goal or the ultimate thing that you're like, I'm going to sever ties with them, but I have to kind of wait it out until this period, that takes a toll on you, like as you're doing it. And so I don't think you need to be arguing with a boyfriend the same time that you already like your conflict cup is full. It is fucking full. And until you can get through to the end of that, every other part of your life should be as conflict free as possible. Like, you should be having fun. Like Melissa said, you should be going to parties, but you should be having fun with friends. You should be doing all of this other stuff. But just because you're dealing with one hard thing in your life doesn't mean that you should take on 6 other hard things. Like, that's not you should be a kid. You should be a teenager. You should be in your early 20s and have fun with that stuff. And there's no rush or timeline limit on any of this kind of stuff. And like, the ultimate thing at the end of the day is like, the goal is working towards happiness. And right now he is not working towards happiness for you. So
go find your happiness.
Yeah. And find the other people who want to help you find your happiness. Fuck those friends.
All right, we're going to take a break, and when we get back, we'll get into the last one.
Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Got a car to sell but no time to waste? Hop on to Carvana.com to get a real offer for your car in seconds. All you have to do is enter your license plate, answer a few quick questions, and if you accept the offer, Carvana will pay you as soon as you hand the keys over. They even offer same-day pickup in many cities. Save your time, score some cash, and sell your car the convenient way to Carvana. Pickup times vary. Fees may apply.
Hey, it's Hillary Frank from The Longest Shortest Time, an award-winning podcast about parenthood and reproductive health. We talk about things like sex ed, birth control, pregnancy, bodily autonomy, and, of course, kids of all ages. But you don't have to be a parent to listen. If you like surprising, funny, poignant stories about human relationships and, periods, The Longest Shortest Time is for you. Find us in any podcast app or at longestshortesttime.com.
We are back, and it's the last.
Hi, Meghan and Melisa, longtime listener, first-time writer. I'm reaching out for advice about eloping. This person is 27, she, her. My partner and I met in college and have been together for 10 years. We decided to elope this October, something we've talked about for a long time. Most of my girlfriends either had or are planning traditional weddings, so I sometimes feel like the black sheep. I'm Hispanic, and in my culture, weddings aren't always a big deal, but starting a family usually is. That said, eloping has always felt right for us. Right now, only our efficient witnesses and our parents know. We plan to tell everyone else next year when we have a celebration to announce. My question is, how do I stay confident in our decision and not feel pressured to conform to traditional wedding expectations? I am a cusp horoscope Scorpio Sagittarius. I think you stay confident by reminding yourself that making a lifetime commitment with someone is between you and that person and not you and your friends.
Well, and it sounds like you're having a celebration, like, thing afterwards, which to me is like enough of the quote unquote like wedding planning aspect that like your family and friends can relate to that. Because you know what I mean? Like that's.
But like your family is already, like your parents know.
Yeah.
Who else needs to? You said it's a traditional wedding, but you said as part of your culture, it's not a big deal. So that is traditional for you.
Are you on TikTok? Is this like, are you ending, like, what are you seeing? Because like, I will say, as someone who's watched a lot of people get married, a lot of people are absolutely miserable and it is sunk cost fallacy. And so they need everybody else. They need to have justified their decision of like putting themselves in debt, putting themselves through so much like strain and stress in their interpersonal relationships because of a goddamn fucking wedding that they then kind of need other people to validate that that was the right decision by also doing that. And sometimes when you decide not to do that, it's kind of the same thing as like, which sounds extreme, but like I honestly see a lot of similarities when someone's like, oh, I'm not drinking tonight. And people are like, wait, what? What do you like? They feel deeply judged because they're second guessing their decisions or their own personal relationship, or they think they're being judged, whatever that is. To me, it's like, is this coming from anyone in particular? Like, or is this coming from seeing TikToks of, you know, all of this wedding kind of content and stuff? And to that, I would say, like, block those hashtags. Don't look at it. You already have to plan for an elopement. There are so many aspects that are similar in the sense of, like, you know, you have to figure out an outfit. It doesn't have to be a dress. It doesn't have to be like a suit. It can be whatever. But like, you shop for an outfit, you figure that out, and then you're having like a celebration and that stuff afterwards. The idea that there's like a traditional way that, you know, friends and family, and if your friends aren't saying anything like this, I would say talk to them about it. And a lot of them, I'm sure, would be like, no, I think you're totally spot on for eloping. Like nobody I know who's ever had a wedding was ever like, wait, you're not going to have a wedding? No one ever. They were like, oh my God, yes. Like that sounds like such a good idea. A lot of people have weddings because it is more expected culturally, and it is expected with like their family and stuff. And like, they're not really doing it wholeheartedly for themselves. And if they are, it's because they are like shitting solid gold bricks of money and they don't have to deal with the actual stress of it. So I think you just need to surround yourself with like a conversation that is like affirming your choice. And that can be like an eloping subreddit. It can be, you know, people who are like talking about like all the things that went wrong at their like $250,000 wedding on TikTok. Like if you seek out that information, like that is there. And there's a lot of people who are just like, have been so blindly committed to just doing the wedding because they see everybody else doing that. They kind of tune out the fact that like most of those people are it's not necessarily what they would want to do at that point.
Yeah, I feel like you're getting pressure more so from your friends because they're planning their weddings already. They're probably going to be thankful that they don't have another bachelorette party to go to. I mean, you could still do a bachelorette party if you wanted to, or any kind of party, but like they're probably going to be relieved that this is one thing that they don't have to think about.
Yep.
If everybody else is already planning everything for their own stuff to do, one less thing to pay for. And they'll be there to celebrate you. Anybody that is against you is not a real friend. Like, again, a wedding is supposed to be a joining of two people, and it's just about them. And then everyone is there to celebrate them. No one should have any input on what you're doing.
No, and if someone tries to make you feel bad for like not spending a ton of money and going through a ton of stress on that, boil it down to like literally just that sentence. That doesn't sound like someone who didn't experience any spending more money than they wanted. And it doesn't sound like someone who didn't experience any stress. That sounds like someone who like maybe made a choice that they don't really feel 100% sure on, and that they have a lot of like jealousy and resentment towards people who know themselves better, that they're like, this isn't worth it for me. That's like a hard thing for a lot of people to deal with.
Yeah. And I know that people that are calling into the show are calling because they have problems, but or issues that they want us to help talk through or advice. But a lot of people that have called in, or they're even offering like, this is my don't blame them, have said that people in their wedding photos, they're no longer friends with anymore.
Yeah, it happens. And like, you know, you've been together for 10 years. I will say that like from the beginning of this, it sounded like Mats and I, because we have talked about our anniversaries in October. We're like, if we, you know, when we eventually get married, it'll probably be in an October and a fall. Been together for like coming up on 10 years. And I also think there's something very different I have found as someone who has been together a lot longer than couples I know who are getting married. Like Mats and I have been together longer than people I know who like started dating, got married before us. And there is something about like a wedding celebration like of that, because, and this isn't like a knock to anyone who has done that, but there's like when you meet a little bit later in life, depending on parents' input, sometimes parents really want you to have a big wedding. So you start having a family immediately after, because maybe they weren't confident you were going to meet someone in your whatever age bracket, like early 20s or whatever. It feels like it was a little delayed from your family's perspective. And they throw a hell of a lot of money at a wedding because they want you to have a kid really fucking quick. Like there's a lot of like strings that are tied to the people who are signing the checks for a wedding, if it's not your own decision and your own choice. And vast majority people who are having very expensive weddings, it's because other people are financially contributing because they want to show that. And it could be a cultural aspect. It can be, you know, whatever part of that is. But if it was never important to you, it shouldn't suddenly become important to you, personally or culturally.
Yeah. And don't listen to anybody else's input. You've told the most important people in your life. They're cool with it. Us, and then their parents. And yeah. Maybe don't even tell them until after it's done.
I think that's
how about that?
Yeah.
Then you have no one's input. Maybe you elope. I've had actually a lot of friends do this. Well, they will elope and then throw a party that they invite people to. And then it's like, hey, we got married already. Yep. And then everybody's there to party.
And like, to me, that's like anybody who's like upset about someone eloping, like you're doing it the best way possible. Like, I don't really think we're ever going to have a party. And I'm like, and people in general are like, well, we want to be able to celebrate you. Like you're doing.
If we're friends, then we're already celebrating you. That's what people that aren't real friends
That's
say.
what I mean. I'm like, if you're like, well, how am I going to celebrate you? I'm like, well, if we don't see each other, we're actually not very good friends.
Right.
So, okay. But yeah, I think you're making the right call. And the shift in like should I be suddenly doing this, or this? Just remember those things come with massive price tags and like a lot of emotional turmoil and strife and tough decision making. And also, I will always say, you don't always know the person you are going to be when you start planning a wedding.
Yeah.
And if that's someone that you like. So that's why I'm not doing it at all. Okay.
All right. That's the end of our episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you would like to participate, you can do that by calling 310-694-0976. You can also send an email to meghanpodcast@gmail.com. Remember to keep everything to 300 words or less, or 3 minutes or less if it's an audio file of any sort. Join us on Friday for Fisting Friday. Monday, we've got But Am I Wrong? Tuesday, we've got See You Next Tuesday. Wednesday, listen to my audio drama. There's a link in the description. And then on Thursday, we'll be back for another episode of Don't Blame Me. You got anything to add, Megan?
Absolutely nothing.
All right. So, goodbye.
Bye. This is a Sister Sign production hosted by me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa D. Montz, plus Diamond Imprint Productions.
Post-production by Coco Lorenz.
Production assistance by Melanie D. Watson.
And music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso.
Oh, hey there, it's a promo for a podcast. Great! Exactly what you want to hear when you're settling down to listen to the podcast you actually want to listen to. Well, give me just a few seconds, and then you can go listen to whatever it is you're listening to, your true crime podcast hosted by former child actors or reality stars, whatever it is. My name is Troy LaValle, and I'm the host of the Glass Cannon Podcast. This is a podcast where my friends and I sit around and play role-playing games and record it. Through improvisation, using comedy and drama, we take the rules of whatever game we're playing and we turn it into appointment television. That's the best way I can explain it. It truly is infectious fun. We travel the whole country playing rock clubs, turning games like this into a spectator sport. So please, check it out, the Glass Cannon Podcast. If you want some joy in your life, give it a listen.
Hey, it's Hillary Frank from The Longest Shortest Time, an award-winning podcast about parenthood and reproductive health. There is so much going on right now in the world of reproductive health, and we're covering it all. Birth control, pregnancy, gender, bodily autonomy, menopause, consent, sperm, so many stories about sperm, and of course the joys and absurdities of raising kids of all ages. If you're new to the show, check out an episode called The Staircase. It's a personal story of mine about trying to get my kids' school to teach sex ed. Spoiler, I get it to happen, but not at all in the way that I wanted. We also talk to plenty of non-parents, so you don't have to be a parent to listen. If you like surprising, funny, poignant stories about human relationships and, periods, The Longest Shortest Time is for you. Find us in any podcast app or at longestshortesttime.com.
In humanity's search for other worlds, we found something unexpected.
It's a massive collection of tiny pocket realities, and each one is a story.
So we can actually transcend our usual 4 dimensions of space and time to go physically into these stories?
Yes, using the Muse Pod.
But when we explored those stories, things didn't go as planned.
Mr. Darcy? That horrid man.
I am Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
None of us have been the same since Beth died.
What happens when classic stories go wrong? I go in to fix them.
Ah, humbug.
Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo?
For the love of God, Montfessor!
Subscribe and listen to Muse, the latest audio drama from Dayton Writers Movement and Realm.
I am Dracula, and I bid you welcome.